It's your girl, Copper Color Creations, coming with another update. Hey, family, how is everybody doing out there? I'm back, family, yes. And on this video, this is Who Are My Ancestors Part 2. Okay, let's get into it. So I first want to start off by saying, I don't want anyone coming for me. I want to start off by saying this is my journey, um, finding out who I am, where I come from, so I know where I'm going. I do understand we are all not the same. We might not all have the same ancestors. I'm aware of that. But it's very, very important to find out who your ancestors are. Okay. I remember a genealogist told me to embrace both sides of my genealogy. And so I have just been studying my genealogy and going into the census records, the archives, the military reports. It's so much. No, it's not going to be easy, but if you seek, you shall find, okay? And so that's what I'm doing. I decided that I'm going to share a little bit of what I discovered in my genealogy record. So I have some inserts that I discovered when I went through the archives of my genealogy. And so I'm going to share some archives with you guys on this video. But before I get started, I want to go over some things. I always go over this about our ancestors. So if you wake up, if you go to bed every day and you wake up, I mean, for me, it was like I woke up every morning like, who are my ancestors? You know, I mean, we've been called African American, Afro American, Negro, nigger, Indian, everything under the sun. We need to find out our true identity and why the world does not want to tell us who we are or who our true ancestors were. But by me doing my genealogy, I discovered some secrets. I'm sure the powers that be don't want anyone to know. And I'm going to deliver that on this video. I have a Who Are My Ancestors Part 3, and that I'm baking that up right now. And that is going to be so mind-blowing for the masses to know the truth. Here on my here when you come to my channel, like I advise people, I am not a YouTuber. I am just someone who is sharing my experiences with, hoping to motivate others. Okay, that is it. And if this does not apply to you, let it fly. Okay. All right, I am aware that we have some people that have Jamaican, African, or foreigners in their bloodline. And that's okay. That's just a side of your bloodline. Embrace that Nigerian, African, or Jamaican blood in your bloodline. But you also have another line of your bloodline that you need to research as well. Okay? All right, that's important. Let's go ahead and get started. So I always mention to people, let's see here. Let me try to slide this up, family. Hold on 1 second here. All right. Sorry about that. This won't shrink down, but I'll read it anyway. In order to be born, you needed 2 parents, 4 great-grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 second great-grandparents, 32 great-grandparents, 64 great-grandparents, 128 fifth great-grandparents, 256 great-grandparents, 512 seventh great-grandparents, 1,224 eight great-grandparents, 2,048 nine great-grandparents. For you to be born today from 12 previous generations, you needed a total of 4,094 ancestors over the last 400 years. Think for a moment about how many struggles, how many battles, how many sadness, happiness, love, stories, and hope for the future that your ancestors had to undergo for you to even exist in this present moment. You are the dream of many ancestors, okay? And I just want to let everyone know you have those ancestors behind you. When you unlock your ancestral DNA, that's when you get to meet your true ancestors. That's when you'll get information about your true ancestors. Let's go ahead and get started. I always want to remind people that our ancestors have our back, okay? All right, let's go ahead and click on another one. This is a depiction of the Irish Druids, okay? I want to let everyone know we have been lied to about our history. All of our history is a lie, okay? So it's very important to unlearn what you've been taught so you can relearn the true history of your ancestors, okay? And so the ancient Irish Druids had afros. So if you're curious about where they get Afro Americans from, that is kind of where they got it from, okay? All right, let's go ahead and keep going. I got some visuals I want to share with you guys, okay? Let's go. Anthony Martin Lord, 1684 to 1748, was my sixth great-grandfather. Anthony Martin was born in 1684. He had one son with Bridget Curran in 1714. He died on May 15, 1748 in Dangan, Cork Island at the age of 64. Okay, so I want to, that's my ancestor, and by doing my genealogy, I discovered that Black Irish did exist. Actually, the world wants us to think that civilization started in the East, which that's a lie, family. Civilization started in the West, okay? And so that's the biggest secret nobody wants us to know, but that's okay. We're going to figure it out. So I also want to go over an article that I read. Oh, goodness, let me bring it up one second. Let me get this article, family. Bear with me, family, 1 second. Bear with me. I apologize about that. Sorry, I was having problems pulling up this article, family, but let's get into this. So in this article, it says the Irish leader to visit Oklahoma tribe who sent Ireland famine aid. Okay? Leo Varadkar to make visit to Choctaw Indians who had their own Trail of Tears but still helped Irish during the Great Hunger. And here is a picture of two Royal Irish from the Parliament meeting the rest members of the Choctaw Indian tribe. So if you can look at these individuals, they are dark in complexion, melanated. We were lied and told that the Irish were redhead pales. Those are not the true Irish, okay? I would say our identity was stolen, okay? So let's read this article, and you can go ahead and pull it up. I got it from, I believe it's called Irish Central, all right? And it was published May 19th, 2018. Leo Varadkar to make visit to the Choctaws. All right, let's go. Irish Taoiseach Prime Minister Leo Varadkar will make an historic pilgrimage to Oklahoma to meet with members of the Choctaw tribe who donated money to Irish famine relief in 1847. So when I say our Native American, our American Indians, our Black American Indians, this is what they looked like. And on my Instagram, I am sharing so many pictures of our true ancestors, not the $5 fake Indian. These are the real Choctaws standing next to an Irish leader. Look at this, okay? All right. Now, Varadkar will go to Durant, Oklahoma on Monday, March 12th to make a presentation to current Choctaw Chief Gary Baton. Speaking ahead of the visit, Vadakar stated he was captivated by one of the oldest connections we have with America. Even though some of the people who took their lands were Irish, the Choctaw understood our pain and felt kinship with us because they had experienced it themselves, he said. On March 23rd, 1847, the Indians of Choctaw Nation took up an amazing collection. They raised $170 for Irish famine relief, an incredible sum at the time worth in the tens of thousands of dollars today. Okay? Now, they had an incredible history of deprivation themselves, forced off their lands in 1831 and made embark on a 500-mile trek to Oklahoma called the Trail of Tears. Ironically, the man who forced them off their lands was Andrew Jackson, the son of Irish immigrants. On September 27, 1830, the Treaty of Dance and Rabbit Creek was signed. It represented one of the largest transfers of land that was signed between the U.S. government and Native Americans without being instigated by warfare. By the treaty, the Choctaw signed away their remaining traditional homelands, opening them up for European American settlement. The tribes were sent on a forced march. And historian Edward O'Donnell wrote, of the 21,000 Choctaws who started the journey, more than half perished from exposure, malnutrition, and disease. This despite the fact that during the War of 1812, the Choctaws had been allies of the General Jackson in his campaign against the British in the New Orleans. Kindred Spirits by Alex Pintuck. This sculpture was erected last year in Middleton County, Cork, and is dedicated to the Choctaw Nation whose ancestors provided relief to Ireland in 1847 during the famine. All right, so basically, if you're wondering what the Irish look like, if you're wondering what the Choctaw look like, here is a picture right here, family, in black and white. And this is what the Parliament of Ireland looked like, dressed. You see they have the X marks the spot on their chest. And then you have the Choctaw. Wow. Isn't that amazing? All right, let's go ahead and go back to some visuals I have. I found here is a family crest of my sixth generation grandfather of Ireland, Robert Martin. I have two family, I probably have more family crests, but the only two that I found was for Martin and French while doing my genealogy. All right. What else did I discover? Let's go ahead and talk about what I want. For many that don't know, the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, they basically were 50 years ahead of us, family, okay? They were 50 years ahead of us, so they have control of the medical, our colleges, the universities, the schools, the banks, the media. So they have control of our narrative, okay? That's why it's the books, everything. They were prepared for this. They were waiting for us to awaken. So, if you're wondering why, all those Greek and Roman philosophers wrote lies, because they were paid by the powers that be to keep the whole masses quiet about this, the biggest secret in the whole wide world, okay? Let's go ahead and take a look at it. So the biggest secret in the whole wide world would be that, that civilization started in the East, but civilization started in the West. All right, so what I did was I went back and dug out some experts from my genealogy. I'm just going to read them to you guys. It states, "It is our belief that we are not meant to look back to prehistoric times because of what will be discovered. We are not to look to prehistory, to Atlantis, to Lemuria, and to the antediluvian epochs. We are certainly not supposed to look to the Northwest for the origins of culture and civilization. We are only supposed to look eastward, even though the hard evidence for the Eastern origins of civilization is pitiful, scarce to say the least. Yes, great structures such as the Giza Pyramid stand upon Egyptian soil, but the structure bears no hieroglyphs and has no dead Egyptian inside. Moreover, the vast majority of the tombs of Egypt were plundered, not by poor scoundrels, as we are told, but by very rich and powerful ones from Rome, hoping to occlude the facts concerning the origins of their architects. The demagogues of religion, this Roman Antinous Prehistarchy, own and control Ireland, the land they have long raped and humbled. Let there be no doubt about it. Okay? That is an expert. I'm going to bring up another one. Let's see here. Let's read this one. All right, we're talking about the Roman Catholic Church. They stated that the Roman Catholic Church raped and humbled Ireland. Let there be no doubts. There they sit controlling the schools, universities, media works, and minds of their flock, hiding behind their various churches, seminaries, and charities, making sure that no evidence or teachings comes to light that exposes them for the villains they are. No, we are not to look to the west. We are told to look only to the east for our answers. Any other kind of study or research is considered meaningless, useless, and even taboo. The vast majority of scholars, including most of the world's well-meaning revisionists, habitually look to the Middle East and to officially accept dates when composing their various intriguing theories. But what if culture and civilization did not originate in the Middle East? What happens if the origins of all that we know, see, read, and hear about started in Ireland, family? Let's go ahead and look at another insert. Historians and investigators who foam at the mouth to discover a pharaoh's humble grave in Ireland, or a mummified ape in Northern Ireland, or an Egyptian string of beads in a pit need to begin getting their minds around the Irish origins of civilization. Such a notion would not only put to shame their relatively paltry discoveries, but would compel them to realize the magnitude of the deception that exists, as well as the utter insidiousness of those purveyors of the lies that have laid siege to the truth. Man traveled from east to west. Such is accepted and endlessly repeated dogma, first decimated by Caesar and Roman historians. Culture spread westward from the Levant. So have most people been conditioned to believe, and yet it still come as a shock to most people when headlines report that Egyptian artifacts have been found at remote regions of the Emerald Isles, basically of Ireland. Okay? So the Irish, so-called Irish, are the so-called Egyptians. Okay? And if you can't wrap your mind around that, just dig a little deeper, do your research. That's all I would like to let you guys know. So basically, the Irish Druids, okay? The Irish Druids, which were healers, teachers, judges, very intelligent master teachers. And, that's basically where Christianity stole their information, was from the Irish Druids, okay? All right. So there's another excerpt let me see here. I want to bring up, and all these excerpts come from come from me digging my genealogy. And they also stated that the Irish are one of the most ancient nations that I know of at this end of the world, and are from as mighty a race as the world ever brought forth. That was said by Edward Spencer. He was a writer for the British government. He was an official in Ireland in 1596. Also, clearly, it is not in the interest of the powers behind government and religion for us to realize that culture originated in Western climes and from the pre-Diluvian civilizations of Atlantis and Lemuria. The desire of the Vatican mythographers was to falsify, situate the seat of culture in the Middle East and as far away from the Atlantic zone as possible. These mythographers knew full well that Ireland, Erie, Era, was a remnant of Atlantis, and that its primordial megalithic inhabitants had been evacuated to the continent in mass. If we therefore find, as we do, apparently Semitic symbols all over the lands of Europe, we do so because they came there due to the earlier traversals of Western people. The peoples and kingdoms referred to in the Bible and supposedly by commentators to be in the East are actually to be found in the West. Okay? And that was by Anna Wilkes, the book Ireland, Year of the Chaldees, 1873. So basically, the story of the Bible, family, basically the story of the Bible would be talking about the Druids, the Magi's from Ireland. Okay? All right, now, here's another expert on Vatican intrigue. The great Arvo Manhattan detailed in his fine works how the Roman Church had obscured the legacy of the ancient Irish through their agents, such as Oliver Cromwell. They commissioned the burning, looting, and wholesale destruction of the evidence that revealed what had been. There was to be no threat or hindrance to their advance toward world domination. That the Christian church had been born in Ireland and that its devious hierarchs had appropriated their canyon from the Irish Druids were facts to be buried and hidden forever. On the subject of Ireland's desecration, Baron Manhattan wrote, pagan temples were either closed, transformed into Christian shrines, or demolished. Their properties were similarly added to the church's patrimony. The wealth of sundry religions were miraculously expropriated through clergy, dismissed or persecuted when not civilly or even physically obliterated. Okay? So basically, the monks and the clergymen that came into Ireland, given the new knowledge, was given false knowledge. Okay, in this, I didn't say this. Baron Arvo of Manhattan in 1940, he lived from 1940 to 1990, stated that the Christian church, right here, he says the Christian church had been born in Ireland and that they basically stole all the knowledge from the Irish Druids. Now, I did advise many on my very first live that the Bible is speaking about your consciousness. So our ancestors, which were the Irish, they studied astronomy and astrology. They were very, very, very equipped and intelligent in astronomy and astrology. So that's basically what the Christian church did. They stole a lot of the information from our ancient megalithic ancestors, okay? So this is what I'm talking about. And I'm not, this is, although I've been awaking for 19 years, I have not went as hard as I have ever in my life with my genealogy until now, family. I just started digging into my genealogy. I want to know who my ancestors are. Okay? Like I said, I'm not just going to believe a man in a book. My spirit was like, no, no, that's a lie. My spirit is a lie. And I've been getting a lot of spiritual downloads about my ancestors. I'm unlocking ancestral DNA and I want to find the truth. And so now that I know who my ancestors are, many don't know the Druids were truth seekers. They stood on business. So I have shamans and druids in my DNA. And that's probably why I am waking up to all these lies. I want to get the truth out here. Say it's running in my blood. And we're going to talk about on part 4 how many of the Irish and the Native Americans have blood type O positive. Yeah, the world don't want to talk about that. So, that's why it's very important not to judge a book by its cover because my ancestors came in many colors. Okay? You have some that look like me and you have some that look darker than me. You have some that are lighter than me. You know, my ancestor, Dr. Dan Hellier Williams, Dr. Dale Hellier Williams was light-skinned, very lighter. He was lighter than me, but he was a black man, considered a black man. And what do I tell people? Black is a color of a crayon. And like I said, for the last 5 years, I've been standing on business with my genealogy. And I've been working, I have a squad that I work with. Okay? These are doctors, lawyers, contractors. These are people I work with business and my personal life. Okay? And so I have an attorney that I work with. He's a dear friend of mine that I've been working with for a couple years on a business project. I have an anesthesiologist that's a dear friend of mine, and I've been working with him. I have another attorney. He is from New York. He is Italian. I have a dear Mexican friend of mine who is a vocal coach. I have an African friend that I talk to on a regular basis. I have a Native American friend, and I have plenty of Asian friends. Like I told you guys, I don't know what it is about Asians, but I connect with them on a different level. But I have a Jamaican friend from the Runway St. Anne out of Jamaica, and we go really deep, okay? And the reason why I'm mentioning all these different business partners that I have and people that I talk to, my Jamaican buddy in particular, Andre is his name, we go really deep and we talk about history and our ancestors. And all of my business partners and friends that I do talk to, now these are high level people. Like I said, these are doctors, lawyers, contractors who travel the world. They feel the same way I do. They ask me, who are your ancestors? They're not African. Now, these are people that are not called Afro-American. We're having genuine, real, authentic conversations about my ancestors. And I'm telling them about who they are and who they were. And they are interested. And I not only have them digging and finding out who they actually are, because in their minds, they're thinking, well, if you were lied to, then we were lied to. And I'm like, yeah, so go dig, find out information. So we're all, like, I'm literally with this genealogy workshop. I am going to launch it in 2025. The research and everything that it takes to finish this. When I do my genealogy workshop, I want to be very clear. I don't want anyone to be confused. Okay? We have two sides of genealogy here. We have the Native American and the Irish. When you do your genealogy and you do your birth certificates and your census reports, see where your ancestors originated. Okay? I know that my ancestors originated in Ireland. No one can tell me different. I did not find any Ethiopian or African, Nigerian, Jamaican, any of that in my ancestral lineage, okay? I've only found the Native American and Irish family, and I'm up at the 1400s, and I'm not gonna stop. Like I said, you start unlocking your ancestral DNA and you start to find out who and where you come from. So I'm here, and I've never ever told anyone to share my videos, but this video, share the video. I want to challenge many. Find out who your ancestors are. Okay? And so on my journey of finding out who my ancestors were, I got stuck. I'm like, okay, something is not right. So I started to do, I just didn't do my dad's side. I did my mother's side. It's very important to do your maternal and your paternal genealogy to find out who you are. You're not going to find out who you are with just one side. The other side might have a bunch of gems in it. So it's very, very important, family, for you to do this research. Like I said, is it going to be easy? No, but it's going to be so rewarding, because this is how you get your birthright inheritance, your spiritual, your material, and your land inheritance. Family, this is what the reparations is called. You know, you're not getting reparations from being an African American descendant. There are no reparations in being an African American. Okay, the reparations come from being a descendant of the ancient Irish. America is very aware that it owes Irish and the Irish people in Ireland a great debt. Okay, everything in the world, family, and I need you guys to research this. Everything in the world started with Ireland. And I know it's going to be so hard for many to grasp, but everything in the world, every root word in Egypt, Africa, all over Europe, every root word started with Gaelic language. Okay? So, with that being said, everything was raped and stolen from Ireland. All right? America doesn't want anyone to know. The powers that be doesn't want anyone to know. But I'm here to tell you the truth, okay, my fellow brothers and sisters. Like I said, for those that do have African in your bloodline and Jamaican in your bloodline and Nigerian, shout out to you. This is not about it's not about you. This is about us finding out the other side of our genealogies. Though these people that are called Afro Americans, okay, they call us Afro Americans because yes, our ancestors wore afros. We're aware of that, but who are we truly? We didn't come from poor slaves. We came from scientists, astrologers, doctors, healers. Okay. Many of our ancestors were the Druids, the ancient Druids of Ireland. Okay. And so if you want to dig more on that, start digging on it because it's so important in this season. All right. Our ancestors, our spirit guides, our angels, our archangels are standing on business. Okay? It's time for us to do the same. Okay. All right now. So I just wanted to make a quick video. I'm going to keep going and letting people know that, like I said, civilization started in Ireland and not Africa. And so just start researching it. Just start doing a genealogy. I mean, the out of Africa lie has been debunked years ago. So if you still think that civilization started out of Africa, I don't care if you're a doctor, lawyer, I don't care who you are, because a title means nothing to me. Okay? What's important to me is that you have your third eye open and you can see through all the effery that we've been told. Okay? My bloodline, okay? My bloodline is standing on business. All right? My spirit guides, they're steering me right in the proper direction that I need to be in. All right? And I'm going to continue doing what I'm supposed to be doing in alignment. All right? While being in alignment, family. All right? So the biggest secret in America is that the Black Irish exists. All right? So it's very important, family, for you to find out who you are, where you come from, so you know where you are going. Until next time, family. One.